Dear friends, it's my privilege to introduce the market makers of kitchen industry. I've seen kitchen industry, or I've seen kitchen industry growing from early carpentry stage to a popularity level it has reached today. These are few of the people who have made significant contribution to kitchen industry. Ask these few questions. Mark, how do you think we can increase this market share to significant level?
I think it's an interesting one. I've got a 2-year view of India, so mine isn't anywhere near as experienced as these gentlemen here. But I start with not what we can do at the back end, maybe, but where we are today at the front end.
Right.
Now, I've owned 2 kitchens in India in 2 years. Both of them made by carpenters. Both of them looked like they were made by carpenters. And indeed, you know, I look back and think, would I be happy with that? I also, when I moved into my very first apartment here, had an empty flat, and I used our own team. And I won't promote my business, but I deliberately used my own team to plan the modular kitchen and indeed install it. And it was a huge resistance to the landlord. Huge. He didn't have a carpenter, but he definitely didn't want a machine-made kitchen because of his, I think, maybe past experience. And I think you've got to think, well, why would he feel like that? Or why would any customer want to go to an inconvenience of going on to some dusty street, into a small little shop, seeing a fairly mediocre, because they're not great, local carpenter's display? Why would anybody do that? And I think it's about the initial level of confidence that our people give, or indeed they give. So if somebody is recommended, in the old days, a carpenter who did your parents' kitchen, or a carpenter that did a friend's kitchen, whether their shop is good or not, there's a recommendation and there's some genuine feeling of you're going to get what you're asking for. So many of us, including myself, and I suspect my colleagues as well, we open stores, we recruit the kitchen lead taker, if we're lucky, a month before, if we're unlucky, 2 weeks before. We stick them in there. They have 2 days training, 3 days training at our vendors to understand our specific kitchens. If we're lucky, we've stolen them from one of the people sitting around us. And that's all that we do, is we steal each other's staff. So there's not any great loyalty in these individuals. And then we're expecting them to give comfort to a customer to spend 5, 10 or more lakhs with us. And then we ask ourselves, why aren't we getting a bigger share of the market? I think we know. We are professional in what we make. We are getting more professional in what we deliver, albeit the installation for anyone in this industry at the moment is a challenge. But I think where we're actually at the moment falling down in front of the customer is honestly the consistency of our message. Why a factory-made kitchen versus a carpenter? Why? And I'm honest to say, in my business at the moment, which is 39 stores, could I put my hand up and say I entrust that job to every single one of my kitchen lead takers and designers? I cannot. And I'm not sure any of us can or should, in fact, because we all go in each other's shops, I know we do. And I think we're all in that place to say training and quality isn't about just the product. It's about that very first interaction of gaining the customer's trust.
Yeah.
And that's the place at the moment that is stopping us going from whether Jürgen's number of 120,000 or even if it's 200,000, it's still a pathetic number. And you know, realistically, how do we get it more? Is, as Jürgen mentioned, it's confidence and training of our frontline people as well as our behind people.
So, very true. Rajesh, what do you think? How do you think we are going to improve these numbers? Getting larger market share or better delivery?
See, what I agree with what Mark Latham says, that currently none of the retail outlets, anybody can really boast that the people who are actually representing the company to the consumer really know the product and the stuff. Yes, we need a lot of training back-end to be developed in our own organizations.
Okay.
But if there is a discipline in education system which is trying to teach modular kitchen as a category, because when you try to pick up an average span, an employee is there in an organization is 1.5 years.
Yeah.
In that period, if we have to teach him how to work with millimeters, because the colleges teach them inches, how do we teach them kitchen designing, how do we teach them selling, because typically if you talk to any interior designer and you ask him to talk sales, meko salesman samjha. Which is a big crime. Now, trying to change the overall mindset after a person has completed his college becomes very, very difficult because he starts framing into structured ideas. So, if in the institutions, kitchens gets respected as a discipline, we have trained manpower who comes out of colleges for actually manufacturing units where they know what is product designing, for retailing unit where they are understanding designing as well as retailing of kitchens. So then it becomes easier to move forward and faster. Comparatively, that will start reducing the pinching of employees also from each other, because currently everybody first starts up a store, and in the period of 1.5 months or 2 months where the displays are supposed to come in place, we want the manpower. As Mark put it up, 1 week before or 15 days before, whoever is available, just train them, put them in. The person hardly understands what he or she is supposed to deliver the value to the consumer. That becomes the most important challenge. And if we are able to rope in the institutes to support us in this case, where a full-fledged training is given.
The same issue that we have basically in terms of getting right manpower who understand both the kitchen as well as the selling. Either you have this guy or that. So that's one. Whereas when compared to a what I call a local manufacturer, not local, I mean a carpenter, now he does the designing, he knows in and out of the product, he is also able to convince the customer that whatever he delivers is the best within his capacity. Whereas the same thing, it cannot be said with our team, because the design guy who knows the excellence in design has no, I mean, he is not able to convince the customer that this design is the best for him. And the seller, I mean, the sales guy does not know the intricacy. If he says, okay, if you open the left and what happens to here, what happens to that, he said, no, that my counterpart comes. Whereas he gets a one-stop solution with the local carpenter, whereas he has to depend on 3 people. Now, as an individual customer, when 3 people talk, I mean, I'm a little bit confused. I mean, that's one issue. Now, the second issue is, it's also, I think, to do with the awareness levels.
Yeah.
Okay, the awareness levels also is pretty low, because people say that, I mean, modular means, they said, no, this is semi-modular, there is partial modular, there are so many modulars are there. People don't know what is actually a modular. You know, the meaning modular itself, it got maybe sort of diluted or something. So that maybe we have to educate the people first that, okay, modular means, okay, it's completely pre-assembled or it comes in flat pack, whatever stage, but it's factory assembled or factory fitted and it comes and fits it. I mean, that's what, I mean, we need to educate the customer what is modularity today.
Now, Mr. Indra Kumar, what do you think, and do you think we have, or your company has contributed to educating consumer in this regard?
Yeah, sure. First thing what we do is, whatever designers who join with us, we try to explain to them to promote modular kitchens. We try to explain to them it's easier, it's better, you know, mistakes will be less. So the first step is our own designers. What we have seen, the designers who join, who are from this industry, many of them, you know, get modular converted into a semi-modular. They go and tell the customer the opposite way. It will be cheaper, it will be faster. So first thing is to change their mindset. And that I think is a big challenge. First step. Apart from that, then we are trying to tell people about the advantages. Even if you see our ads, whatever we are doing, even if you visit website, so what a modular kitchen can give. What are the advantages? So we are trying to educate people, and there have been many cases where we are able to convince the customer and convert into modular. They came with the idea, no, we already have a platform, or we'll build a platform. Then we explain to them, it will be easier, better, more of standard units, you will have a lifestyle experience. So people are getting converted, but it's a challenge. And this problem is more, we have seen in Mumbai. South and other parts, this problem is not there. There people are going with modular kitchen. But in Bombay, most of the people, they are going for the semi-modular. So
I think it has to be started. Now, who does this? Who builds the kit?
We have started
now,
interacting
if
with that.
everyone keeps talking that, well, somebody has to do this, somebody has to do this, and then we keep talking that somebody doesn't happen.
In fact,
I think we have to form some kind of a body.
Body, yes.
That's starting with that process.